I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Louis Trujillo.
Present.
Councilor David Romero.
Here.
Councilor Elaine Rodriguez. Here. Councilor Michael Montoya.
Present.
Councilor David Olivares Jr.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do you have a quorum?
Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dr. Rodriguez?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank all of the first responders, all of the medical employees that has helped our community in regards to the COVID virus. I want to be thankful of the vaccine and in hopes that the vaccine will be distributed and help our communities. I also want to thank the mayor and city council and all our government employees for the city employees that have really band together, have come together to help our community and make sure that the community residents have received the services that they needed under this pandemic. And I would also thank, and hopefully we go into a new year, and 2021 will be a bright year for us as we kind of move through this pandemic and helping our community, our businesses, and our residents. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And I'd like to make a recommendation before the approval. If there are any questions in reference to the two union contracts that are before you tonight, I would recommend that you move executive session prior to the business items, if those need to be discussed.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the approval of the agenda. Second, please.
Mr. Mayor, clarification, are we doing executive before those two items, or you as presented? As presented.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Second by Mr. Ulibarri. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mayor, next item on the agenda is public input. We have no public input tonight.
Thank
Moving
you.
on, mayor's appointments, reports, and recognitions and proclamations.
Thank you. Give me 1 second and I'll call in our person of the hour. As long as you spread out, for you some bigger time. So come up here, Brielle. So I met Brielle Saturday, and thanks to a good friend of mine, Mr. Mark Dominguez. He's on the board of trustees at Luna Community College. Called me and talked to me about Brielle. And anytime there's something like this to recognize in the community, I want to make sure we do. Brielle has helped with the toy drives in town for how many years?
4 or 5.
This will be her 4th year, I think you said, Saturday. And she donates the money that she saves during the year, and she helps with toys and so forth. And this year, what she'd like to do is she would like to buy blankets, right? You want to talk a little bit about it? No? She's very humble. So what she would like to do this year is get blankets for the ancianos in the community, the little people in our community and our elders. So that's her mission this year. But I wanted to thank you, Brielle, and give you a certificate of recognition and appreciation for your help, for being so kind and generous for the community. Will you accept it? The other thing is Dr. Taylor, remember you met Bill Saturday at the firehouse? He's in a club. He's in the Rotary Club. And someone at Rotary Club wanted to donate some blankets. Do you want to talk about it, Dr. Taylor?
Yeah, this is a great lesson for Riel and for all of us. Your story and your act of kindness inspired others. So I told this story, and somebody in the club said, I've got 25 blankets I want to contribute to Riel. And it didn't stop there. Then my wife went out and bought a bunch of blankets. There's somebody else bought 100 blankets. We're going to have blankets for help people, help feed people, clothe people, keep them warm through the winter. So just your act of kindness inspired many others.
You're inspiring everybody. Thank you, Brielle. Do you have anything to say? No? That's fine. I thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you and your family being here tonight.
And Brielle, we put you on in our monthly magazine. We put out a monthly report that we share out with the community, and you're on your picture on the fire truck is right there.
Yeah.
So we'll get you a copy of that.
We have a newsletter that we put out. So thank you so much again. I really appreciate your help. And thank you to everybody. Thank you so much. And those blankets, do you want to take them? Chris, do you want to take those blankets in that box?
Sure, yeah, I will take those out this time.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for this opportunity and recognizing
Thank you.
the young
Wow,
people
look at these.
in our community. Thank you very much.
Aren't they nice?
These are real warm.
Aren't they cool? Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate all that work. Thank you.
You guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next order of business?
Councilors' reports?
Council? Anybody? No? We'll move on. Mr. Matura, go ahead.
I would just like to take a moment to let our community know that there's a lot of positive feedback. Yesterday we had for the first time the first route of the New Mexico Northern Central Regional Transit District, that it will be, you're aware of this, Mr. Mayor, you're a part of this, and so was the city manager. But basically we're in partnership with New Mexico Highlands University and Luna Community College. And the MORA Commissioner, Victoria Veronica Serna, is the one that started all this. And the county approved it, so now we have transportation for citizens from MORA or from Las Vegas to MORA, like vice versa, students, or if they have doctor appointments or whatever it might be. It's a free service to the public. New Mexico Highlands University contributed, Luna contributed, and the city of Las Vegas contributed, and I think that was it. But either way, the bus will be running on Tuesdays and Thursdays, twice a week, 2 times a day. And for right now, due to the COVID, we will be just having 4 people at a time. And then as demand arises, they will get a bigger bus or whatever down the road. And they had the ribbon cutting ceremony, even though we didn't have a ribbon, yesterday at the train depot. And that was one of the last stops in the route. So it has like 9-10 stops. This is a federal funded program, matching program, 50% by our communities, our entities partnering. And there's a schedule and everything on the website for the city of Las Vegas. So we want to welcome them and thank you, everybody in partnership that took part in this. And this is a good thing for our communities. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
On another subject, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank, we have a little gift over here from Cassandra, our clerk. We want to thank you for that token, appreciation from Christmas.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. And also, one last item, Mr. Mayor, the Friends of the Gallinas had a meeting this last week, and things are going along, and we're asking to partner in with them for an MOU down the road in January to see how we're going to maintain the park, the Riverwalk. They're reviewing our leader ordinance that we just passed last meeting, and we will be getting together with them, see how kind of an MOU we come about, so that they can help us patrol the area and pick up litter on Wednesdays, for instance, and how they can partake on all that, so that it'll be cost effective for the city. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you so much. It's very exciting to see. Anybody else? No? Let's go to our business.
City Manager's report? Dr. Taylor?
Fairly abbreviated because we got a lot of the things that I've been working on are going to be discussed by other staff. But some things I wanted to highlight, one is you may have heard that the Las Vegas Senior Center is partially closed. It was closed on Monday and Tuesday, but it was partially closed. They delivered services, they delivered food to all of their clientele. They got a whole week's worth of food right from the beginning. So we'd even heard that people said they ran out of food. That's not true. It was closed because they had a couple of people with COVID. We expect to have the center open again full time with all staff on Monday. The city curfew was extended. You were all aware we discussed that. It was actually extended on Monday through January 15th. It now authorizes a civil fine of up to $100 for each violation of the proclamation. The city COVID safety team is up and running. They started on Monday. They started by meeting with the businesses we've been partnering with, meeting with on Zoom, and then on Tuesday they went out and they visited all the businesses that sell alcohol, including Allsup's. They had with them all the kind of materials that we've put together as part of the campaign, including the proclamation. This next item is a little preliminary, but we are working with when I say we, I mean the fire chief, the city attorney, myself, the finance director, working with the county manager, their fire department, and others on getting a new agreement on ambulance services. I think we're making good progress, and you'll see something coming your way pretty soon. This next item about Carnegie Library and museum building problems. This is something that was brought to my attention by Wanda Salazar. We knew that there were some problems there. We think that they possibly are serious, and I'm not going to get into too much detail, but we did add this to our ICIP as a problem that we may need to address. We're actually getting an assessment of how serious it is and how much it'll cost us. And then the CARES Act money for businesses, we spent it all, and so we spent $323,920. So that's all done. And following my report, we see actually the list of all the businesses that received assistance. The highest amount that anybody was $10,000, because we capped it at $10,000 so that we would be able to assist as many businesses as possible. Originally, we started at $5,000, but we found that we still had a lot of money left over, and a lot of people had expenses that were not covered. So in order to spend all the money and not return it, we increased the cap to $10,000. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. This is an impressive list of people who received, funding through this CARES Act, and there are a lot of businesses in the community to the tune of 20, 30 some maybe businesses in the community. So we're happy to help facilitate in that process, and hopefully with this new bill that's being tossed around in Washington, that there'll be more money coming to small cities and small businesses, and We hope that we will be able to help more businesses in the future, but it's quite an impressive list and quite the impressive amount of dollars that we were able to assist these businesses with, and that's a good feeling. Thank you so much for all your work, and also to Bill Hendrickson, and also to Mr. Baquero.
And it was not easy, actually. They had to go out and say, we still got money. And so they went door to door to different businesses to see if, make sure that they had the information and we could interest them at all possible to participate in the program.
Mr. Mayor.
I just have one more question. What are we doing with the 9 cents that's left?
The 9 cents.
Mr. McCullough? Yeah, Mr. Taylor, is there a second phase already approved for this?
The special session of the legislature appropriated some money for business assistance. Bill Hendrickson participated in a seminar explaining how that program would work. The amount that's going to be available is going to be a lot higher. I think it's 30 or 40,000. You can get up to $30,000 or $40,000 in assistance. So we're going to start working on that.
Yeah, it's 50,000. Mr. Mayor and Council, I'd like to thank the staff for doing this. Some communities didn't apply, and they missed out on this. We were very fortunate that our staff applied for it, and that we received it, and that they pushed it. They made sure that money got spent, and that's very important. I mean, a lot of times we're blamed for not doing anything for our community, and this is one good example of the good things that the city is doing for our business community, as well as so Las Vegas can survive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Montoya. Cassandra?
Mr. Mayor, next is presentations not to exceed 10 to 15 minutes per person. Our first presentation is by Deputy Police Chief Kenneth Stoneberg. He's providing information on the possible purchase and installation of live feed cameras throughout the city of Las Vegas and their benefit for fighting crime and improving public safety.
Deputy Chief Kenneth Stoneberg, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
And welcome.
So I get 15 minutes, but I like to talk a lot. So the first, I emailed everybody. Council got it.
Yes.
The first camera I'm going to show you is called the Falcon. So what this camera does is it's actually a license plate reader. And you can see on the first slide here, we deploy them out. Let's say we had a robbery at Walmart. The suspects take off, they get a license plate, they call dispatch, they input that license plate, and it gives our officers in their cars the plate, the make, everything that's going on. And as that vehicle's traveling, wherever else we have these cameras, that camera's going to pick up that vehicle. So if they're coming down 7th Street trying to get out of town, we have one on the south end, it's going to let us know where that vehicle's at, so we don't have the public in fear of a high-speed chase or, safety for everybody, and it helps the officers because it's in their cars, ping this vehicle wherever it may be. These can go, I think Santa Fe's getting on board, I know Rio Rancho is. So if we had like a really bad crime, a missing person, possibly abducted, once we put this in, these cameras all the way up to El Paso will ping that vehicle every time for us. It doesn't look inside the cars. And it's a live feed to our dispatch.
And where would these cameras be mounted?
Anywhere you want. They're solar powered, so you can put them anywhere. 7th and Mills, that's a busy intersection. We could put one facing this way, one facing that way, because everybody goes through that intersection. So if we have a burglary at night, and they give us a vehicle description and a license plate, even a description, once dispatch puts it in, it pings to all our officers. So as that car passes this camera, it's going to tell the officer where it's at right then and there. And that's what this one does. This is just a license plate reader for stuff like that. And it helps deter crime because we can get to it faster without running the risk of running, as we call it, code to try to catch them, or in high-speed pursuits. It eliminates all that, and if they take off to Santa Fe and it pings them over there, we can get that agency to get them. So that's just this camera. Any questions?
Mr. Master, to clarify, so the other municipalities that would have this, we would be tied to, if they committed crime here, we'd be able to?
Yes, sir. We as the PD would be able to, only law enforcement. So Santa Rosa, I believe, has gotten these, so we would tie into them, they would tie into us. So if, say we got them and Santa Rosa got them and that car ended up in Santa Rosa, it would tell our officers that that car's in Santa Rosa, to include them. So it's kind of like sending out a big Amber Alert, but this camera is actually catching it. So it's real time. That's what this one does. The second one is called the Covert. And these are live feed cameras. So like the one we have in the plaza now, I think it's above JC's Pizza. It kind of shoots to the north end of the plaza. What these ones do is they live feed to our dispatch. So you have a big screen, like the one in Albuquerque, where they're monitoring it the whole time. You can set them up this way, and we can put our logo, the PD, we can put the city logo on it, and it's live feed the whole time. What's neat about these cameras is we can zoom in up to a quarter mile clearly. So when I've been talking back and forth for months with both companies, obviously they're different, is that actually he did a live feed demo for me, and I could see a FedEx truck going down the street probably 2 blocks away, and I could see the driver. So if we put one at the plaza, we can aim it all the way to like National University area, and we can zoom in on it because it's live feed. So if dispatch is looking and they see a car pull up at 2 in the morning, obviously that's a little suspicious, or they can actually zoom in onto it and see what's going on, and it's automatic, so they could dispatch an officer to it. Because most people do have cameras, right? But you go home, you lock up your business, and then you come back at 6 in the morning and you view your cameras, and at 2 in the morning somebody did something, and by the time we get it and we get everybody involved in it, we're really behind the curve. These right here will let our dispatch know right away, and they can dispatch officers immediately. You can set them up like this. There's also where we can hide them up on a pole. So it kind of just looks like a regular electric box. We can put them in a vehicle, as you can see here. We can use one of our vehicles, and like say Walmart, right? We can put one of our vehicles there and it's watching, and dispatch is seeing it the whole time. But what I like about this is that if we can get Walmart to help out our different businesses, then it's going to deter crime. So I mean, I wish we could stop crime, all of it, but it's going to deter. It's going to get quicker response by our officers, better investigation, because we're not so far behind, where we can see it right away. Councilman Montoya was saying about the Riverwalk. We can deploy these on the Riverwalk, and we can watch them. On the other one, the Falcon, they have one that's called the Owl. It's probably be out in February. That one we can deploy on the Riverwalk, and that's motion. So at 10 o'clock, we know everything's closed, right? So it's not recording the whole time. It's live feed, but when somebody goes there, it pops on. They can check their faces, they'll take a picture of it, and we can run it to see what's going on. Because, you know, these young kids are going to fight, where do they go? And a group of people, the camera will see all that motion and alert dispatch right away. So these are going to allow us, if purchased, to monitor the city safely, but at real time.
How many units would you propose?
I would, in my opinion, just based, and the other day I was driving around doing the radios, we probably need 10 to 15 for our city. And the reason I say that is because we have a North District, which is Mills up north, a Central District, which is Mills to Douglas, and a South District, which is Douglas to the end of town. So let's say at the end of town, somebody's trying to get into a business over there, and our officer is, I don't know, over here putting gas or something, or handling the call on railroad. Well, we don't know what's going on over there till that business gets an alert, calls us, trying to get an officer over there, where we can actually be looking at it, dispatch can see it, and dispatch an officer right away to that scene.
Dr. Taylor has a question, but I have a question prior. So would this company consult in the placement of these?
Yes, sir.
Like they would tell you, don't put it here, there's no action here, or?
We would be the ones to say that, I mean, because they're going to come into our town and they're going to say, well, I don't think it should go here.
Right.
Because in Arizona, they do it this way. And it helps. What I like to see is all of us get together, including our stakeholders, the businesses on the plaza, wherever, that we can get this and hopefully get it done. And it's just going to make our city that much safer for our tourists, our kids in the summer that are out playing. I mean, if you're watching it live and you can see and you can say, I need an officer right away, we're going to get there that much faster for everything. Versus a fight breaks out, then they call dispatch dispatches the officer's got to get to it. And this situation, we can respond a lot quicker, a lot safer.
Are there any issues with ACLU,
No,
civil liberties?
no, because what this is doing, it's not like zooming into personal stuff. It's like the cameras that we have out now around the plaza. You're driving around them. That's all this is doing, is we're just watching. It's not like we're going to be looking into people's homes or cars or anything. It's to keep our business areas safe and our neighborhoods.
Mr. Taylor?
Just a comment, Mary, in response to your question about how many do we need, and I think one of the points is that we don't have to pay for them all. So one of the, I talked to Elizabeth Juarez about the Riverwalk. They were very interested in this. So they got some money, and that might be one of the investments they want to make. I went to the Main Street organization. Maybe you can market this to your businesses. And several of the businesses were interested. You know, and the nice thing is that for the businesses, you put one of these up and compared to your own camera. First, it's higher quality, but it reports directly to the police department, even though it's your camera. So I think we could probably get, the Mills Plaza, the Walmarts, a lot of these businesses. I think they're about. DC, I think they were $2,000 each per year.
So the flock, yes, is $2,500 a year per camera, but they come and maintenance everything, and those are solar powered. So you don't need no power, and anything happens, they come and take care of it. We don't do nothing. They come and maintenance it right away, replace, give us a new one, and so on and so forth. But city manager is absolutely right. When we have a crime, we go to people's places and they say, well, here's the video. And then, well, how do we burn it? Do you know how to, download it? Well, I think you need a thumb drive. Well, maybe a disk. Maybe I'll email it to you. I don't know. These right here are coming to us right away so we can get the evidence that we need to make our cases.
And how long can you store video footage?
So what the drive is going to do, like any camera, it's going to go to a certain point.
Right.
If we don't need it, it's going to loop again. So if we have nothing on Plaza for a month, other than the citizens and everybody's doing their thing, then it's going to get rid of most of it and then we'll start again. But once an incident happens, we can capture it, right? So we see something on the plaza, on the bridge. We can capture that, we can start recording that, and then we just pull that. And the Flux works with our body cams.
Oh, right.
So they're coincide with each other. So it would download into what we have right now, our server, because it's our call. So not only do we have this downloading into it, we also have that camera downloading into it. So it just makes our case a lot stronger, quicker, we get it to who it needs to be, the evidence. And I think it shows people that we're here to make sure they're safe and they can enjoy walking the river walk and the plaza and leaving their vehicles and not have to worry about what's going on.
Is there any possibility of the cost being covered by a federal grant or any kind of grant?
They do work with that, absolutely. They can help us with grants. On this, I've just been talking to them back and forth. When I was first at the PD, I was a neighborhood watch guy, and I started that again, but that kind of falls to the wayside, and I think it's more a fear of retaliation and trying to get members. It's hard to run a neighborhood watch. Where this is kind of like the eye in the sky for us. And they'll come in, they'll do a big demo, they'll put them up, they'll show us how they work, how to retrieve the information, if grants are available. There's grants for everything to help with the cost.
Very well. Anybody else? No questions? Mr.
I
Rao?
just had a couple of comments and suggestions. I don't know. I like the idea of the one that captures the license plates. I mean, one area would be,
This one
let's say
here?
yeah.
Okay.
And then the other part is the one where we can conceal into, I mean, because there are some areas within my ward, well, each one of our wards that we feel that sometimes are troublesome.
Yes, sir.
And if we could put those inside, a vehicle that we could kind of monitor, and it's not, directly into the homes or anything, but we do
No, sir.
have, in south end of my town, in part of town, Chavez Street, all the way up to New Mexico where Councilor Yulabari's place is, there's a lot of wanderers in that area, and, they're not up to, they're not out there doing any good, especially at the times that they're out and about.
Absolutely.
And, they know that, that car's out there, and it might capture you, walking up and down. I think that's important because if a crime happens, more than likely those persons that are wandering are going to be caught on the camera. So I like that idea. Of course, funding's a big thing, but I mean, if anything that we could start off with and take turns within our wards, the one that we could put in a vehicle, I think that's a start.
And what's good about these, Councilman Romero, is the fact that there's solar panels. So we don't have to call them and bring all these people in and do all this procurement stuff. We ourselves, myself or whoever gets trained, can actually go and move them. And you can see where they put them in, on a traffic light, a street light. Data stored securely in the government cloud. Data owned by customers, never sold, meaning us, for 30 days, and then it's deleted if we don't need it, so you don't have like all this stuff. Footage captures objects, actionable data, private, public, if HOAs, apartments. Santa Rosa PD can link up to their cameras. Santa Rosa has them. And then here's the cost.
Could we don't have to make public where we put these, right?
Sorry, ma'am?
We don't have to make public where we're going to put these cameras.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, it's not like a checkpoint or something that we have to say, this is what we're gonna do, no.
Yeah.
I mean, honest people that work hard like all of us for our stuff and then take pride in our stuff, I don't worry about what these are at. It's the bad guys that don't care, that maybe if they see it, they'll be like, okay, we watched the city council meeting and we know what those things can do, so we're not gonna do that.
Mr. Mattel?
So one of them is, the solar one is $2,500
Yes, sir.
per camera,
Per camera.
and the other one is how much?
And the other one is going to be, so this one is, we don't own it, we just pay $2,500 a year. And they
Per camera.
per camera, but they take care of all the costs. If it breaks, they replace it. So it's every year, so that's an annual cost. This one here, which is our live feed all time, is anywhere from $7,500 a piece up to 10 grand. And then you have the options, right? So this one here, I don't know if you, sorry about that.
So you're looking at
As you can see,
50,000 to 100, or 100,000.
Yes, sir. And with these ones, they're ours forever. So there's that, and these ones, so the flock I can't get on it and zoom it, down the street. These ones I can. So if I have it, and we did the geographical, like 400 feet is the plaza on one side, so much on another. Well, we can put it, and it can shoot down a whole block. And if somebody's at the end of the block, we can hit a button and it'll zoom it all the way down there, and we can see what they're doing.
So, Mr. Mayor, what about the visibility, like, for instance, over at the Camp Luna dump, where there's no lighting? How can you
These are
capture?
infrared, and they clear as day at night.
Okay.
Both
So
cameras are
like
the same way.
Rodriguez Park, the same thing?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, these have infrared and it's very clear. Like I said, this one, the covert, he actually did a live feed for me. He logged into the computer and we were just watching, he was like zooming in a block away, a quarter mile away is kind of far. And you could actually see what was going on. You can make everything out. It wasn't fuzzy. At night, it's the same thing, it's clear. Now, if it's pitch dark and there's no light, you're gonna see just a shadow. But as long as there's light, it's gonna capture it.
Now, do you have to be, if you find an act that's going on, burglary, or whatever it is, can you prosecute, or do you have to be present as an officer?
So, there's only certain things that we have to be present. Those are misdemeanors. All felonies we can prosecute, and that's just giving us evidence. Just like if we went to Walmart on a shoplifter, we look at it, we see him getting the stuff, that just helps our case. This helps our case.
Okay.
So we don't have to be present on a felony, no sir.
One last question, does it detect potholes?
Potholes? No, but I can tell you a lot of them are. Unfortunately, I mean, we could zoom in and look. It's just something that I've always, when Chief brought me in, he's like, what can we do? And it's just, everything's technology, and I'm from Mora, so I don't know much about technology. But things that can make it safer, there's not so much manpower being used, and it makes people feel safe. It's like a cop standing there. It's like, I know there's cameras in my neighborhood. It's watching everything. They're watching everything I'm doing. I'm not gonna do that.
Mr. Mayor. So you're looking at a combination of how many in regards to the license plate reader versus the advanced poll camera?
Yes, ma'am.
So how many in total are you looking at?
So the license plate reader, based on where I know people travel through, we'll need about 6. And that's because that's the main, they always take off, and for whatever reason, they're like a rabbit. They kind of go the same way and go into the hole. So we know 7th and Mills is very busy. 7th and Legion is very busy. Grand. So as long as we come up, that camera's gonna capture that license plate and let us know. So it's not like gonna be a day later, or as soon as they call and they give dispatch that plate, we're gonna know where they're at, because it's gonna be in the in-car computers which we purchased for them. So they'll know right away. And they can just go to it. No lights, no sirens, just go. And that's the safety of the public.
And how about the number of the other ones?
Well, we're gonna focus where I believe is like Lincoln Park, the Riverwalk, the Plaza area, stuff like that. I would say about 6. Because remember, we can move these ones. And the flock. The flock's just the license plate reader. But these ones we can move throughout the city. So like for Christmas, Walmart, right, we can put one over there and watch them the whole time.
So you're
And-
talking about 300,000 a year.
So on these ones, we buy them.
Oh,
That's
those are
the
ours.
cost. And they're ours forever.
So 150,000 for the
Yes, sir.
small ones.
And then the other one is 2,500 a year. But like me and the city manager, Dr. Taylor, were talking is,
Kenneth, are these cameras, they're going to be stationary in each areas of the town, or can you say that you want to move one to a different part of town? Can you do that, or they're going
Absolutely.
to stay where they're at?
nope, we can move them.
Can you?
And we can move them.
Yeah, but say you want to move it
Yeah, if I have
from
it
the
right
west side to
Plaza,
the east side.
and you want it over there at the red caboose because kids are messing around, we just take it to the red caboose and we just put it there on a pole. And it's not just stationary like I'm looking at the mayor, the cameras will move. So dispatch sees it, it's a control box. They just turn it like that and say, okay. So we're not missing anything, right? If something's happening here and it does this, and then it comes back, they could be gone, but if they see it, they can just stay on it.
So it's quite possible to use them, I'm sorry, Mr.
Go ahead.
It's quite possible to use them like to investigate drug dealing.
Absolutely,
If we think that there's something going on in a certain neighborhood, we can move one
absolutely.
and get all the information we
We make
need.
it covert where nobody can see it. Or we use them for the fiestas, use them for the biker rally. Anywhere we're having problems, wherever there's burglaries and it's like right to one place, we can deploy them out there. Where we're not having officers constantly, the camera's constantly watching, so that helps on manpower. It's cost efficient. It's going to be a little bit of money to get them here, but I think within 6 months' time, you're going to see a lot of cut down in crime and a lot more people out and about and not being so afraid that their cars are going to get broken into or their homes or a fight's gonna break out or, you know.
Mr. Olivari?
That kind of thing, it's a very good idea because the thing is that our business had been vandalized at least 15 times in the past 2 years, and it's been wrathful for our business out there, south end of town. And these cameras are, how you're talking, you know, you can move them around and put them for drug traffic, you know, almost anything you can do.
Yes, sir.
It's very, we really need something like this in a small town because we're getting heat from every corner of the city, you know, so, you know, thank you for the
Yes.
presentation.
And I was a victim of one of those when I had my vehicle over there. And it's unfortunate, it's sad. You know, we work hard for everything we do. There's a lot of hard workers out there that take pride in their stuff. And the last thing I want to see on Facebook is my car was taken, my windows were busted. You know, where are the officers? Well, they patrol a vast area, so if you're at Walmart dealing with the shoplifting and something goes off at Walgreens, by the time we get somebody there or he gets there, because the other ones are busy, we're so far behind, but these will help us. If we can't get there in time, at least we got good video and we can capture the incident and have a good case to present to the courts.
Thank you. What's the next step? Mr. Manager, do you know?
Well, we're looking at, you know, what we can afford, and so, you know, and how we can partner with people. So I've already talked to several businesses, and so, you know, we don't have to pay the cost of all of them. We can get a business to put one up, and maybe one business on Bridge Street will cover the entire Bridge Street. And maybe it's the business organization working together. And they say, you know, it's $2,500 a year, but there's 10 of us. And you say, what's that cost compared to a security guard? And for some place like Walmart, which probably has security guards, this is a lot better deal. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than $2,500 a year or $9,000 one time, and good for however long until it's worn out, 5, 6, 7 years.
So, thank you, and I'll get to you, Mr. Merrill. Is there, for these larger ones, I know that the smaller ones, you said there's a service contract. If something happens, they can come out and fix them.
I'll
But
also have warranties, yes, sir, as these ones will as well. It's not gonna be for the life of it.
Yeah.
Because we bought them, whereas Flock, it's actually theirs, so they're gonna maintain them the whole time. So if somebody goes and takes a baseball bat to them and knocks it over, we come, they'll be here that day or the next day and put in a brand new one up.
On the larger ones,
Yes.
is there a service contract or service?
Are you talking about these ones here, Mr. Mayor?
No, not the larger ones, not that one, but that one, the larger ones.
All these right here fit in this box. That's
Yeah.
just a fake box you could put like where we have all our power.
Right,
You just put it there and that little camera shoots everything.
but I'm asking, does the company provide a service contract?
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir. And they're willing to come. I can have them here as early as next week. They will actually demo the cameras for all of you, where you can actually see what it does. It's very interesting.
Mr. Romero?
Mr. Mayor, I just kind of, thinking out loud and, finding ways to be creative on how to, purchase some of these is, and I think I mentioned to you, Mr. Mayor, and maybe to Dr. Taylor, is that I think that our business license permit fees are kind of low. So if we were to maybe look at that, or we could tack on a fee to every business license, and in return, purchase some of these cameras to put around town, then that might be offset the cost a little bit, something to look into.
And I don't think the business community would mind if they felt a little safer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the cost, you look at it's $9,500, like, oh my gosh, times are hard, COVID, we understand that. But my time has been in law enforcement. You get somebody that gets their vehicle vandalized or their place vandalized, they're out way more than that money.
10,000.
One thing, things can't be replaced, and that costs a lot to fix them.
Thank you.
There's so many potential partners, the schools, the courthouse, businesses. We had to close Harris Pond because of vandalism. And we've got vandalism up at Rodriguez Park. And, we lost $30,000 of stuff there. That would have paid for 4 of these cameras.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, if I may, I had this discussion with the chief when I met with him a month ago, And this is one of the items that I brought up, is that in Rodriguez Park, when I found out that they had broken in and taken bleachers and destroyed $8,000 worth of stuff, I told them, well, it's time to get cameras. And the same thing with the little Juarez over there that they call it, behind the Daylight Donuts, to see who's throwing trash. And up in Camp Luna, the same thing. We gotta find resources to do that, and this is a good idea. So I'm glad I'm surprised that the chief moved on it like real so quick and started this, but this is good.
Thank you.
It's a good thing.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Stomberg.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Next order of business, Cassandra?
Next presentation by Police Chief Adrian Christine on updated policies and procedures for the Las Vegas Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. Stromberg. Appreciate your help.
And these are standards and best practices that are promulgated by the New Mexico Law Enforcement Professional Standards Council.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Welcome, Chief.
How's everybody doing?
Good, how are you, sir?
Good. So I just want to take a few minutes of your time today, just to bring by our policy and procedures that we work under. Dr. Rodriguez, Madam Councilwoman, was at our office today, and she was very, I guess, surprised of what we really do at the police department and how it operates. So, you know, before I got here, before I was appointed in August, our department had just gone through an accreditation process, and through the New Mexico Municipal League Law Enforcement Council. That's who we get accredited through. There's a big process. We have to have four different types of policies and procedures that we handle, that we fall under, which are the administrative, operations, personnel, and training. There's 212 standards that we work with. So the way these standards work is, and when we get accredited, is we're able to, so we need a policy and then we need a proof. So every time we make an arrest under that policy, we have to have a proof for it, which would be like an arrest warrant or our booking form that we take to the police department. So right now, we'll be accredited for the next 3 years, and then we'll have to be reaccredited through the New Mexico Municipal League Law Enforcement Council. Sorry about that. So just because in 2011, when I was there, we got accredited for the first time in history, and now this is the second time. So I think it shows the pride and the type of law enforcement officers we have at our Las Vegas Police Department, because they are the ones that do this. We don't, our lieutenants and our sergeants and participate in getting these policy and proofs out, besides what they do on a daily basis. So, you know, it shows their pride and commitment to our department.
I had a request from citizens if we could post these on our internet.
So what will happen is we'll get with Cassandra,
Okay.
because these are a lot of new policies that are in here compared to what was on our internet service, on the website before.
Right.
So we'll make sure that they are posted. Everything will be public, even our tactical operations, because our kids know more tactical operations than we do, right? They play all these games that have, you know, COD and everything. So there's a lot of, you know, our tactical operations, and everything will be public for them to see. And if you as council want to get a copy of our procedures and standards and read them, they're best practices. Like I said, there's 212 standards. So there might be one policy or procedure in there that has A through Z, or AA through ZZ, or AAA through ZZZ. So there's a lot of standards that we do operate on. So I can get you guys a jump drive with the policies on it. That way you guys could have it and review at your leisure.
And I think that's why I was asking, is if we could get them posted, we could go somewhere and just read them.
I'll get a jump drive for you guys. That way you have them on a jump drive and see what our best practices are. And then with Cassandra, I'll get with her and let her know, when we'll probably have to copy them or email them to her and they'll post.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Anything else?
No. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was overwhelmed when I surprised again.
Guys, have a good evening.
Thank you, Chief. Next order of business?
Mr. Mayor, next we have our finance report by our finance director, Mr. Jesus Paqueta.
Welcome, Mr. Vaquera.
Mayor,
Thank you for being here, sir.
council,
Good afternoon. Mr. Vaquera. Good evening.
you guys get an updated revenue and expense report?
Yes.
Okay. General fund, the revenue is at 45%, expenditures at 36%, and we got surplus of $213,000. The enterprise fund, revenue is at 36%, expenditures at 30%, and the surplus is at $261,000. The recreation department, revenues at 37%, expenditures at 34%, and the surplus is at $14,000. Lodgers tax, revenue is at 135%, expenditures are at 16%, surplus is at $107,000. Last week, Councilman Montoya requested numbers on the auction, $104,292 that was going to be coming in from the auction. And on Monday, we received our $2.4 million from the CARES Act. So that's in the bank as of Monday.
I'm glad that you didn't spend it right away.
Well, it's already spent,
I'm
but
just joking. Thank you, Mr. Vaquera. I'll always ask you this question. Is there anything in this report that you need to make council aware of? Any red flags, any...
not a red flag, but we did have a exit conference with our auditors.
Right.
So that, we can't discuss any more than that, but it's done.
Thank you. And I'd like to recognize Mary and Dominic for all their work that they did in getting all that information to the DFA and to our auditors. They worked tirelessly, weekends included. They did a very good job. And if we see Mary again, please thank her, because she really took this under her, and she did it. And Dominic worked really hard too, and the whole staff did what they needed to do. But I really appreciate that very much. Thank you, Mr. Vaquera.
Will do.
Any questions?
No, Mr. Mayor, just for the record, I did attend that meeting, and we'll know Mayor and Council will know the outcome in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you for attending, Mr. Montoya. Thank you, Mr. Vaquera.
Mr. Mayor, we move on to our business items. Our first business item is consideration for the International Association of Firefighters, the IAFF Local 4625 agreement. Our fire chief, Billy Montoya, had an emergency, so we will have Donna Coster, our HR director, presenting this item.
Okay. Welcome, Donna.
Hi, good evening.
I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Of course. Okay, so I believe you all received your packets that included the memo from the chief. Let me just say, on the meeting agenda request, I believe we made an error and we gave Billy the incorrect amount. So the total that the total cost for the salary increases for the bargaining unit members is actually $26,044 rather than the $30,140. We had two numbers, and I believe we gave him the incorrect number. And so we've been in negotiations with them. They actually started before I got here in June. They started, I believe, like in April. And we finished the negotiations about 2 weeks ago. And so you have the draft union contract in your packet as well, and he did redline it. Did you want me to go through all the changes or anything?
I think most importantly is just to say that if you could give us a brief explanation on how close we were to what the union was bargaining for, and how close we were able to meet that.
Okay, so as far as the salaries go, you'll see on page, because we did bargain a few other things, but these things, we really just put them in the contract because they had been occurring anyway. So on page 14 of the contract, it talks about the educational pay, and the city has been doing this for years. We just wanted to memorialize it by putting it in the contract. And that way, there were never any issues of what we've done or what we're going to do. So we put it in the contract. But the city has been paying for the travel and the classes and such. The compensation. We came to this agreement, however, and you will see in the last paragraph of Article 32, it does say that we will continue to work to achieve an updated pay scale. They were satisfied with what we proposed because it was a $2 increase. We are, based on other municipalities, we do pay less to our fire personnel. There was a study done here at the city in 2014 by the Mercer Group, and I have that study and I've reviewed it, and even in 2014, we paid the least amount to our fire personnel. And so we did agree in consultation with Dr. Taylor that we would study the pay now in, the rates now in 2020, because the last study that was done was 6 years ago. So that data is obsolete. So we will work with them. LA Sena has already started contacting some of the municipalities. So I would say that they're very satisfied with the progress we've made, considering the fact that this year the gross receipts tax are really an unknown.
Right.
And so I don't know that they were even expecting this much.
Right. And I think that's important to know that, that when we negotiate like this, it's not a figure that we just come up with and say, here we go.
No.
It's actually negotiated with the union that represents the union-eligible fire team. So those numbers are usually hashed with the union representatives, and we either meet them or we don't or whatever. But I think what's important to know here is that it's not an arbitrary number, that this was a number that was presented to us by the union, and that we were able to meet favorably what they were recommending.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, and they totally understand the current circumstances with budget.
Sure.
Okay.
And thank you for your work with this. I know it's very time-consuming, and, we really appreciate it, and I'm sure that the fire personnel will appreciate it, us moving in this direction, and then agreeing that we will take a better look at the pay scale in this coming year.
And they understand that even if we agree to what our pay scale should be, that it may still not be possible.
Correct.
Because we don't know the effects of the pandemic to our budget. Okay?
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. McClure.
Ms. Castro, how many employees are union members, or are they 100%?
No, they are not, because remember, to be part of the union, you have to have met your probationary period, and their probationary period is 1 year. So right now, we have 7 that are in the unit. And the others are probationary, and some of the, let's see, we have 3, 6, we have 7 who are probationary, and then we have 3 lieutenants who are not part of the unit. Correct. And that was probably the only area in which we went back and forth, because they did want the lieutenants to become part of the unit, but because they are supervisors, we wouldn't budge on that. And even if we were to think that maybe they would, that we would allow them into the unit, they would have to go through a process with the State Labor Board to get them into that unit. So I wouldn't doubt if they are going to pursue that for the next negotiation.
The other question I had is, how many are taking advantage of the educational program package?
I believe Chief Montoya said that they all do, because they all go through the certifications, and there is another section in the contract that I did not touch on, but that is where they receive a 4% increase for each level of certification. That I know that's in here.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they've been getting that anyway, just so you all know. But we wanted to memorialize that as well. And then there are some other trainings that Chief Montoya said that they could go to reach a higher level.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you.
And so, really, that was it, besides the compensation. And like I said, the other sections were just memorialized to record what the city has been doing. And so we do request, you did see the letter that the union members did ratify the contract, so we are requesting that the council approve the new collective bargaining agreement.
And Mr. Mayor, just to go back to your question, essentially they asked for $2 and we gave them $2 because they were at $10 an hour. They couldn't recruit, they couldn't retain. So it was both an issue of fairness but also efficiency. We didn't want to just be a trading ground for Rio Rancho Fire Department.
I was going to ask about that. Is there a stipulation in their contract or with the employees now that if we send them to training, they have to be with us for so many years?
We're working on that
Okay.
with the police department and probably Google.
Good.
Fire. Good. Let me just make one comment here, just to make, so we can all be clear. Those firemen, however, that are at the $10 per hour, they are not in the union, okay, because they've just started, and so they have a 1-year probationary period. So they are not in the unit yet. But we have reviewed the budget, and we will be adjusting those as well that are not in the unit, okay?
So as they become eligible, they will receive their...
No, we will adjust them anyway, because remember, January 1, the minimum wage goes up. So they, at that point, they will have not met their probationary period. They will not be part of the agreement, but we will make that change for those people.
Gotcha.
Okay? That way we can retain them and we can recruit.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's the pleasure of the council? Mr. Olivari? There's a motion to accept the bargaining contract? Second?
I'll second.
second by Dr. Rodriguez.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
a question for our city attorney. Since on the agenda it says consideration, can we act on this to go ahead and approve the contract itself?
I believe, yeah, if you guys are considering that, if that's the business side of the consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Rivera Jr.?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Rivera Jr., a second by Counselor Rodriguez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. This is the AFSCME Local 2051 Agreement. Ms. Donna Castro?
Go ahead, Donna.
So for this contract, I do have the letter. Cassandra, did you want to give this out?
Actually, Donna, I went ahead and emailed it to them.
Yes.
Oh,
We got
okay,
it.
okay, great. So as you know, on Friday evening, the union members voted and they did ratify the contract. We didn't have that at the time we put it on the agenda, so we just wanted you to have that. So with this contract, this one was a little more interesting. But anyway, I am really glad that this coming year, when we open the contract, the entire contract will be negotiated. So it is now the year's coming for the full contract because it does need quite a few changes. But for now, we went ahead and we negotiated salaries. And so you will see on page 18 of the contract, the redlined version. The union had originally proposed a $3 increase to everyone's pay, okay? And of course, that was, they really didn't have a reason for what they were suggesting. And because of the budget situation and everything, we wanted to offer them something, so we did offer them, what was our first offer? It's here.
The 75 cents.
No, our first offer was actually 58 cents. And that 58 cents an hour we got because we were thinking of giving all employees $600. So that was the hourly amount for half a year. Okay, so, and I let the union know that. They came back, they wanted $1. And I'm like, this is not the year, and we had just received information from the finance director that our October gross receipts tax had gone down by $120,000. So I told him at that point, no, I think this is fair for this year. So they asked for 75 cents. They weren't willing to let go of the increment pay, the 13 cents an hour. So I asked Dr. Taylor, is it okay if we just add the difference and make it 62 cents? So the 62 plus the 13 is 75 cents an hour. And they ultimately agreed to that. So for this year, that's what they will receive. They will receive their increment pay on their anniversary date. I did offer it. I did offer for them to receive it at the beginning and
Sure.
to remove the anniversary date, but for this year, they weren't comfortable with that.
Okay.
So we agreed to just continue it on their anniversary date. And so the cost for that is $91,611, and $67,860 is the gross pay, and then benefits, our fringe benefit rate here is 35%. So that brings it up to the $91,611.
Okay.
Okay? And so we are asking for the council to approve this contract for the remainder of fiscal year '21.
That's through June, and then...
Through June.
And then the contract restarts?
Yes, we will actually start negotiating probably the end of January.
Yeah.
Because that contract will take much longer because the entire contract is open for negotiations.
I would really like to, I'm sorry that they didn't accept the anniversary versus the calendar year. And maybe we can drive that home the next time, because the work is voluminous. It's a lot of work to keep track of everyone's anniversary date. And if we just do it at a certain time of year, maybe even it's a fiscal year, that would be better, because it is a lot of work to keep track of everyone's anniversary date.
And ideally, you would want to do everything July 1.
Correct.
Ideally, all the contracts would be ratified before that, because you want to do them hand in hand with your
Sure.
annual budget.
Absolutely.
So that will be our goal for this coming year.
Good. What's the pleasure of the council on item number 2?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion. I move that we approve the AFSCME Local 285-1 agreement.
Second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Roll call?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just take a moment to thank Ms. Castro and also Mr. Taylor for having the confidence on Ms. Castro to do this and pull this through. This is very important, and it takes a lot of time and effort, and Mr. Taylor trusting Ms. Castro on this issue, I think means a lot. So,
I know.
thank you both.
You're welcome. I'd just like to echo that. We're very fortunate to have Ms. Castro, who has experience with bargaining, collective bargaining. Otherwise, we would all be at a very difficult point. So thank you so much. Roll call, please.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Romero?
Yes.
Councilor Montoya?
Yes.
Councilor Duarte Jr.?
Yes.
Have a motion by Councilor Montoya, second by Councilor Duarte Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being here, Donna.
Mr. Mayor, the next item is to brief council on staff recommendations concerning ICIP capital outlay request for the purpose of prioritization for the 2021 legislative session. We have our Community Development Director, Bill Hendrickson.
Thank you, Bill.
Evening, council.
I'd just like to I'm sorry, before you continue, just housekeeping regarding masks. If we could just remember to wear our masks and to wear them properly, to cover the nose as well. I know it's really hard when we're speaking, but in this day and age, we just can't be too safe. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Council, Mayor, we supplied this 8.5 by 14 sheet with all the listing of the projects on the ICIP. I just want to advise you that we made one change, and that's item number 27. The request is changed from 100,000 to 225,000. Other than that, there's 4 projects at the end. Projects 38 through 41 that we've added because of the directors and the chief's suggestion that they are required for this year. And so we've added those to the listing. The chief just mentioned to me that they've heard that the state is providing funding for first responder vehicles. So we're going to look into that to see if that's the case. We may be able to drop the police vehicles replacement on that one. But so those 4 items and number 27 were the only change to the ICIP that everybody agreed to previously. I want to explain what we've done here with the director's comments. And the key field on this sheet is the column that says amount request for fiscal year '22. And if there's a zero in there, the directors have decided not to because it may be already funded, it's very low priority, or what have you. That certainly can be changed if that's your recommendation as well, but this is from the staff. In the director's comments, you'll notice in some cases where, for instance, like number 4, where the staff recommendation is for $105,000, but that's a low priority for whatever reasons, the staff may, because we have, in some cases, they're road projects, and it's not a high priority road project. We've got others that we're more concerned about and are on top of that. And if we have to make a decision on road projects, we want this one at the low end. And see, but these are all recommendations on our part. Our concept in this thing is for the council and for the mayor, and of course, staff has already looked at it, is for you to prioritize in your mind what you like. We know we picked the top 10 before, and as far as submitting our requests through the ICIP process, the capital outlay request, we can submit as many as we want. Now, our thought process is we don't necessarily want to go to legislature with 40 requests. It's kind of hard to lobby for 40 projects. We can certainly do it, but the recommendation is to be a little bit more strategic in our requests. And so based on what the staff has recommended, we think that if we come up with about the top 20, the top 10 that you feel that we should have, and we make a recommendation that you consider maybe 5 projects that's for the city in general, and 1 to 3 possibly that are in your wards that you think are a priority for your area, and put those on this list as you feel necessary, and then we can discuss. Now, the deadline for submission is February 11th. However, of course, we want to have time to be able to lobby our legislators and so forth in January. So the sooner we get this in, the sooner they will get the printouts that we submit. And the printout, the form has no ranking on it at all. So when we submit the monies, the request, the ask, let's call it, for these projects, they're just going to get a printout of that ask. And then it's up to us to go there and say, hey, this one's important, this one's important, this one's important. These are if we can only get 10, these are the 10 we want.
While we're on that track, Bill, I guess we'll have this conversation later, but I'd ask if I could give you a directive to set up a meeting with our representative, with our delegation in Santa Fe early in either probably the last week of December, which is prior to or early January. I know I have a meeting tomorrow night with Representative Montoya, Roger Montoya. This information will be good, but I think we need to get them online with what we want and what we're sending them to Santa Fe for.
Mr. Mayor, we discussed this at the event yesterday. Pete Campos was there. I talked to him about him coming to our next council meeting in January, and he said he'd be glad to do that, where we could go over those things with him. If you like, or I also told him I wanted to meet with him individually.
And we'll leave this to the director of the council, but I'd like all the delegation there, including some people who represent just a portion of San Miguel County. So that would include Montoya and what's the Ambrose and the Liz Stefanik, I'm sorry. But I'd like to have everybody here, just so they'll know what our priorities are in a meeting, even if it's a Zoom meeting. But I think it's important to present to them and tell them what we want for our community.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Bill, on item 32 and 33, I thought that the funding was up. I did lobby for those two streets back on a year ago, and funded some money for those two streets. And I don't see any funding up to date on these streets. Do you know anything about that?
No, not specifically. We have utilities and public works here to explain it, but what we were kind of hoping to do with this is to have you all look at it over the next couple weeks to the end of the year and try to do some ranking, contact the directors if you have specific questions about a project, rather than trying to discuss it and figure it all out tonight. It's not that critical that we get it done tonight. It's just something that we need to get done. And my suggestion is it won't take too long to submit the requests, because the forms are all online. They fill themselves out with probably 80% of the information. And so it's just pretty much put in a few more numbers and what have you and hit submit, and it's done.
I'm pretty sure I did that, no, because, these two streets have been neglected for the past, since our city been together, Romero and Salazar. They're still dirt streets. And I say I did lobby for those two streets back a year and a half ago, and I'm pretty sure we did get funded for those two streets. I'm not sure if we did or not, but, we're back I'm back to the same, to my two streets that have been there for years and years, haven't done nothing to them. Anyway, I'll go out and lobby for those two streets again, but I'm pretty sure that, when I talked to Central Campos, he had funded those two streets, but you don't have any information on it?
No, not at this point. I put the brackets around it because that was the amount that was in the ICIP to make the request for this year. And so what we're basically stating by saying it's ranked below other road projects, if we're only going to get so much money, then, we want to finish these other road projects that are listed on the
These two
ICIP.
streets are, under director's comments, they're ranked below the other road projects, And I say these two streets have been like this forever and ever, We do work on some of the streets that we have around the city, but, those two streets have been, been neglected for years and years, so. But I'll go out and lobby and see where we're at. Because, we need to take a look at the streets too.
All right. Well,
Mr. Taylor?
We have clarification on Councilor Levi's question. And Maria said the reason that those have parentheses is because they are already funded.
Okay. Yeah, because it doesn't say here they're not, so.
So we had originally put them on the ICIP as critical projects, and when they got funded, they stay on the ICIP, so that we annotate it as having been covered, so it's not a priority project anymore. Other projects can move above or below it as ones to focus on.
But they are funded, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mayor?
thank you.
If I could add to that, I know that an article came out, before we jump the gun, I think we need to make sure that those projects that were already funded, because I read an article, I think it was in the Journal or the New Mexican, that said that the state is looking at those that have been funded that haven't been allocated or they're, that were shovel ready or whatever. I can't remember what the exact terms were, but
Encumbered.
that they're looking at those to pull in. So I think the important part is make sure that all these projects that I know, the Creston Park is one, some lighting projects, some others, projects that we got last year. We need to make sure we don't lose those first of all before we start talking, these new projects. As far as the new projects, one thing that I'd suggest to the council is, I know, and I've said this before, is that we all have our pet projects that we want within our wards, but one of the things that I'm going to push for again that I think benefits all of us is continued equipment to maintain our roads. I know we got the pothole machine. Another one is a crack seal machine. Just some of these other maintenance vehicles that we don't have to go out for contract. We train our staff, and because we know how much 1 mile of road costs to repave. And if we don't take care of what we have now and continue, setting aside $1 million for 1 mile of road, well, we know how many miles of road our community has. Well, we're focusing on one certain road, the rest of the, and we neglect the rest, we're going to have a lot more need here in 5-10 years. So we need to focus on what we're able to salvage these days. And then from there, once we kind of, get a system in, because, maintenance, we can all, admit that maintenance for a long time was neglected on our streets, and we need to start picking that up before all of our roads are basically gravel and filled potholes, basically. So that's just kind of a recommendation that I would suggest before we look at, looking at, one project, especially from the legislature, because we know each senator and each representative is only allocated so much per district they represent. So by the time they, pretty much the way they do it is they separate evenly to every community, and what's left is not too much. So we've got to be very careful as far as, what we're asking for, because if we ask for projects that $3 million when the senator's only getting $700,000, it makes no sense. So just be careful on what we ask for, and I think that we need to really sit down and prioritize as a group, not just individually, because that's what's happened to us in the past. Is we've gone individually. Other community groups have gone out and also asked for money, and when it's all said and done, we end up with, sorry to say, peanuts. And it's not doing us any justice, and we need to prioritize that. And Mayor, I know you've kind of, you brought that up, and I think that's what we need to do altogether.
So your intention tonight is to give us this information for us to review it, highlight, scratch it, bring it, get it to you, and give your comments for the January meeting, correct?
And we'll put it together and let you know what we have, at that meeting. And then after that, we should be able to make a decision, what we feel comfortable, what our, maybe all of them, I don't know, but whatever council comes up with, and then we can submit them rather quickly at that point. But we need to get them in before we see our our legislators, because they're going to get those reports.
The other thing I'd like to just mention is that I will be spearheading, starting in January, a legislative roundtable of all the bodies in town to make up the school, the county, and everybody, a school district, the university, anybody that goes for legislative money, so that we could do a legislative roundtable, so that the entire community could have a legislative plan, so that we can send the senators and the House of Representatives a clear message as to what the entire community wants. Okay. It's going to be a big task, but I'm going to take it on. It'll be a dry run, and hopefully next year by this time, we won't be dealing with this, but we will have our priorities straight, and the entire community would have their. I think our problem is that there are several people that lobby for certain things in the community, so our legislative process is very fragmented. And so, for example, West Las Vegas might be lobbying for, 3 new practice fields. Highlands might be, or God forbid, Luna wanting another building that they're not going to use, they lobby for their buildings, and I think collectively as a community we can come together and say what's important for us,
right.
And maybe put aside those practice fields for 1 year, or maybe put aside another building for another year, and come together and we can start prioritizing as a community. Right now, there's no rhyme or reason to what the senators represent in Santa Fe. They represent whatever they want to or whatever they think they need. I think we need to send them with a very clear agenda as to what we want them to do for our community.
Okay.
So that's to come. But for now, just the information we have, they're giving it to us right now so we can pencil, highlight, get it to you by when?
I would hope by the end of the year.
Okay.
The 28th I was planning on.
Okay.
So we can get prepared for whatever comes next in the first couple of weeks in January.
Okay, and if we have to have a special meeting for this, I'm open to that as well, just so we could do some prioritizing.
That may be a good idea.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your work with this, Bill. Mr. Matoya.
So on here you have, for instance, item number 6, truck and a dump truck and a grader. So those haven't been requested for before?
No.
We haven't got no funding at all for those?
No, and so they're further down in the list, those two specific items, because they're number 34 and 35. And according to Public Works, as a priority, because we're looking at all this roadway maintenance equipment, again, if they have to go in and request for equipment, these are the two they want. They want all three, okay? But the zipper, which is the thing that cuts the asphalt to do the repairs and so forth, is a low priority at this point in time compared to these other two vehicles. It's not saying we don't want it.
I thought that had already been approved and it's coming in January.
No, that's a pothole filler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This is the thing that cuts the asphalt. I guess they call it asphalt zipper because it just cuts it and pulls it up at the same time.
Item number 5, the Beaches Industrial Park. Isn't there a fund there available for that kind of
We
lending?
have to do that, and that's what it says funded to date. We have $450,000 in a fund for DBIB, and we're just requesting an additional $175 because the project to do the roadway and to do the cul-de-sacs is more than that.
And also on item number 31, Plaza Bridge Street reconstruction, municipal DOT, 1.75. I thought the DOT was already...
Right, that's why the amount requested for 2022 says 0.
Okay.
We just left in because it's already funded.
Yeah, but it's not, in other words, all these zeros really just for information only.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Rather than just leave a blank there, or
Yeah.
eventually those will all get pulled out of the ICIP on the next update.
And yesterday, when we were talking to Senator Campos, we said we'd invite him, first meeting in January.
Yes.
So, if we get,
We have a special meeting.
Yeah.
You'd be amenable to that.
I think it should only be Senator Campos.
No.
I think all the delegation needs to be invited, and all of them need to be here.
okay.
So if we have a special meeting to discuss this, then that's so be it, but I think we need to afford everybody the opportunity to be here. Mr. Campos is one person.
And I think that was our intention.
Thank you.
He'd be happy to be there.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, on prioritizing this list, I'm kind of imagining, I guess we need to have that special meeting within the council.
Yes.
Once we come up with a shortened list, 10 or 20 projects. And because I like to be informed from senators and representatives, our representatives, if they know what's going on in Santa Fe, and they know how much more this money so far is going to be allocated, and emergency money that might be allocated through COVID, if Congress passes this bill. But, so we won't shortchange ourselves. I'd like to be able to get informed by them before we make a final decision on the packet. That way we don't shortchange ourselves. And I know that, Mr. Mayor, when we were here the last time, we were getting up to $32 million of capital outlay. A lot of things have changed since then, and the previous years and administrations have only gotten $13, $14 million, I guess, which is a big difference. So, but I did, as we did talk to the senator yesterday, he did want to just emphasize that he wants us, and his direction is for us to be working together and working on the same projects and supporting the same projects.
That's exactly what I was saying about the community, is prioritizing the community's needs. Not that any of them would go out of their way to do this, but we will. I think that's very important, but yeah, definitely. And we know that this legislative session is thin. The money is very, very thin. for this next legislative session, but it would be good for them to know, or for them to be flat out and honest with us and tell us, put this away. You know, you're not going to get anything this year. That way we don't spend money and time on, and energy lobbying anybody for anything. So thank you. We'll have a special meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'd
Yes.
just like to add that if there's any confusion about what the project title is, because you only have we pulled that out of the ICIP, we have additional information on what that whole project is about, whether it's for planning, design, or what have you. So, we were just trying to be brief on putting this together to get the information out. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call myself or call one of the other directors where that project falls in, like Maria Valari or Parks and Stephen Aragon.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
And also, just for clarification to the rest of the council, is that a lot of these road projects are prioritized in the asset management plan? Am I right?
I put in the ICIP, I've mentioned the asset management plan, I think, on all the road projects.
So I know Councilor Yulbree had asked, well, how is that ranked higher? And, you know, that's where a lot of the rankings come from, is from that asset
I
management.
think all the roads that are listed here are all in the great need for work.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, Mr. Mayor and Council, the process would be that we would have maybe just a special meeting where we go through ourselves and these projects one by one. Maybe we could have all of the project managers available to answer questions, and then we kind of rank them. And then at the next meeting in January, we present to our legislative delegation.
Yeah, it's, you know, again, here we are at the last minute. Pete already knows what money he has to work with. The sausage was made in June and July in Santa Fe. So instead of us here spinning our wheels, we should have already been informed as to how much money is available. That way we don't, again, shortchange ourselves or come up with a big old wish list and devote all this time. You know, legislators should be responsible to the community and come back and say, you guys, this is what we have to work with. But it's all in timing. By the time we do this, the legislature would have already started if we do it the second week in January. Because the legislature starts the first Tuesday after the full week of January, the first week of January. So it's all in timing. If we have to have a special meeting to do this, to do the prioritization, so be it. But I don't think we should wait for another meeting to invite the delegation. If we have to have another Zoom meeting or whatever right after we do this, so be it. But it's all in timing. But the January session's already starting, so I don't think it's a good time to do this. We should have, I think, and for the future, I think it's really important that we look at the timing of the ICIP plan. Because I think at the end of the year, again, these are, you know, it's way too late already, you know, to do this. I think we should maybe look at it, maybe looking at the ICIP plan, and that's something that we could talk about, maybe doing it a little bit earlier so that we have this time to come up with a concise list and to entertain our delegation.
The ICIP plan as it is right now is submitted in September.
Right.
And, of course, we all voted, the council voted on those focusing on the top 10. And so technically, we sort of did that, but I think there's always been there's a change in mind on really what the priorities really were without us thinking about it at that time.
Correct. Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you for your work on this.
Not a problem.
Mr. Mayor?
I know it's a lot of work.
Just one last suggestion is, instead of us debating all this, I know we understand what these projects are. If there's a spreadsheet you can create that we just vote, rank them from 1 to 10, and then you put them in, and whatever the results come in, then we all accept that. Instead of sitting here and, debating on I think this is priority, we know what they are here. We just put in a system, we rank them 1 through 20, or however we rank them, and whatever the results come in, then, we accept that and we vote together.
Well, I was kind of hoping we sort of do that between now and the end of the year. If we need less time to do that, that's fine with me. I just threw it out there because we've got about 2 weeks left to get us out there. So if that's the case, I mean, if you all want to just go through these and rank them and get it back to us, we'll go ahead and do exactly what you said, and then we'll have something to look at.
That sounds
And
good.
we'll just resort it.
And then we have that special meeting, there, we wouldn't have to wait for the second week in January, we could do it first week.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
So get back to me whenever you can, Council.
Appreciate it, Bill. Thank you for all your
Sure.
work. Mr. Mateo?
The only concern that I have with all that is that, I'd like to know how you guys feel about, Madam, how you guys feel about the renovating the old city hall and going towards a new city hall.
I understand that there's an interested buyer. I think it would be ridiculous for us to foot a bill of, 20 million or 10 million that it's going to cost if a buyer wants to buy it and renovate it. That's my opinion. But I heard there was an interested buyer.
Well, is there any other opinions? Because, it's in the list, and it defeats the purpose of putting it as a number one priority or a number 10 priority if that's the building.
And I think we could do that when you do your spreadsheet. You can rank it. If we like it, then we do it. I just happen to believe that that building is going to take a lot of money to renovate. For the space that's there, it's not even worth it.
And remember, this money is for fiscal year '22. So even if it got approved to spend $500,000 on Old City Hall, for instance, and let's just say we agree to sell it, we can always turn that down. So it's not like we have the money in the bank already.
But I think what's important is to find out if we're going to ask them for $540,000, what will that get us in that huge building? Maybe a roof,
Right.
maybe the study, an architect, and a roof. When when the entire building needs all the infrastructure, the plumbing, the lighting, the flooring, it's just a shell right now.
Right.
And so it would cost another $6 million to make that building habitable.
Just to brief council on this, we do have a contract for the architect to go in there and tell us what needs to be done on the roof. And that'll probably give us a good idea of what our next major expense it would be on that building, because obviously we have to secure the roof. And so I think that'll be a good judge of what the future looks like.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. O'Mara?
To that point, I know we have some funding that, we're looking at that. We put some money to clean out the pigeon.
Yes.
Guano stuff. My whole thing is if we do look, depending what the council decides or what we decide, is that money that we've already put in now, basically we're just dumping it in for nothing?
Well, just so you know, we had to get
Something that we
rid
should
of the...
decide before we continue anymore, because the more money we put in, all we're doing is basically investing for whatever purchaser.
It's a money hole. It's a money
Yeah.
trap.
We had to get rid of the guano so we can get the architect and the contractors in to help us find out what needs to be done with the roof. So I would think that even if we either sell it or don't sell it, we need to know what's going on up there and what it's going to take, because that actually will affect, the price of the building or what have you.
So the money we have right now is just for architectural consultation.
We have a little bit more than that, because we got another $100,000, but like you said, that wouldn't go too far in that building if we use part of it in the roof. And not knowing what it's going to take to fix the roof, it could be way more than that, or I really don't know. It's a guess at this point until the architects get in there and are able to analyze what the situation is. And we're planning on doing that here pretty soon. We're getting ready to hire the contractors or pick the contractors to give us bids anyway to build a catwalk. They have to build a catwalk in the attic because the joists are like 15 feet apart, so you can't walk on the ceiling. And so once we do that, then the architects will engineers will get in there and take a look at it. And we already have that contract ready to go.
So what's that building valued right now?
The value?
Do we have?
I don't have a clue.
So you've shown it, so how,
I'm sorry?
you've shown the building? So how have we?
The person that was interested?
Yeah.
Yes. They took a look at it.
The person is interested in using it for his business and doing a museum of sorts. And I don't know, we supposedly have money, but my guess is that building would cost about $7 million. It cost $7 million to do Rocket Hall. It cost $7 million to do Senator Hall. And we did the Raleigh, the taller building at Highland, I think that was $7 million. So, what are our chances of getting $7 million? I don't know. The geo bonds are biased towards universities and senior centers.
So to answer Matoya's thing, do we still rank it as if we want to,
I would.
whether we want it or not, or keep it, or?
Well, we don't know. I mean, actually, I'm going to work on having the gentleman come and talk to the council on the first meeting in January and tell you what he's planning on doing and what he's willing to, stay with the design of the building, not make major, basically keep it in the historic aspects of the building. The only thing that's not really historic on it is the building that's in the back, and it's going to be recommended to have that demolished anyway from what I've talked with the architects about.
And the fire engine bins.
That probably will stay.
Yeah.
It's just a building in the back that was added on, I'm not sure when that was put on there, and it has a lot of problems with asbestos and everything else back there, so.
Gotcha.
But I think to answer your question there, it's with your preferences. If you rank it high, you still think it's a good thing, then rank it high. If you don't rank it so high.
Gotcha.
Yeah, where it stands right now, I mean, it's don't even sit within the top 10, so I don't think that's a priority right now for this year, in my opinion.
And 2023 is the bond year, and that may be the time when you ask for the big projects.
Right.
And so that wouldn't be, hurting anything to let it slide another year to make that request then, and ask for more money if, for some reason, let's say the seller's not really interested in it. We're not going to get too many people come along and say they want to buy a building like that.
Right. It's a beautiful building.
Yes.
And Mr. Mayor, I mentioned in my manager's report that we've got issues with Carnegie Library and
The museum.
Municipal League and the museum. And we think that the cost of remediating those buildings may be $2 or $3 million each. So we got people looking at those. It's potentially very serious. And again, those are historic buildings, and they're in much better shape.
And that's what I'm getting at, Mr. Mayor, is that there's a lot of projects there, 40-some projects or whatever amount, but within council, mayor and council, we need to discuss and find out, because what they're asking us to do is they're asking each one of us to go and bombard them, each director, and find out information like the one he just gave us, the city manager. And to me, that is not a way to go. I think we ought to decide within ourselves and talk about it within ourselves, see what the priorities are with the information that our city manager or economic development director or our utilities director gives us. And that way we can make a wise choice and a wise decision on these priorities. And then go with your suggestion about us choosing the top 10 or the top 20 priorities. Because, if that's the feeling of council, for instance, on that building, or I see
I visited the solid waste station 2 weeks ago with the city manager, and I'll tell you, it wasn't a pretty sight. And it needs a lot of work, as far as drainage and roadway improvements, and also the building structure itself and that. It's been neglected for 20 years. What do you expect, you know? And this building that we're talking about, been neglected since, what, 1990? I don't know. So I'm just saying that those kind of things, in order to prioritize this list, we all got to be on the same page and don't divert from that and go for that kind of funding, but we need the expertise to let us know how much it's going to cost. Because the library, since I was here the last time, 20 years ago, we've been asking for money and money and money, and we put in money and money and money into it, and we still have the same problem. If it's not the downstairs, it's upstairs. If it's not asbestos here, it's asbestos over there. If it's not that, it's the plumbing. So what do? Sell it? You know, I don't know. But I think that we need to discuss those issues amongst ourselves and get these experts to let us know what it's going to take and prioritize it that way. If it takes one project from each ward, and we got to sacrifice that in return for setting the priorities of the city, well, then we do that. If we can afford 2 projects for each ward, well, then we can do that too. But we need to put the needs of the community first, because you know the way our streets and our sidewalks are. And they're not even on here. They're included in here within the projects of the utilities, if any. But right now, there's no proposal, and that's the number one complaint of the community, is streets and sidewalks, other than communicating with them and being transparent. So I think that we need to discuss this within us and have a meeting, and it can be an open meeting, but just to discuss this list and what we're going to propose.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there already, we voted on a priority list already?
We voted on the top 10 items that are on here.
Okay.
But what we basically stated was, once you go to make your request, it's just whatever you, the council and the community feels are important. And obviously, some other things have slipped in now, because, we weren't talking about the library and the museum back in September, so.
And I think it's important too to look at the master plan, because we can't deviate from that master plan that people took so long and the public had a lot of input on, and they wanted to see development here and there, and they thought it was important to do this and that. So I think we need to consider that master plan when we look at these plans as well. And nothing that fits within that master plan shouldn't be considered.
And that was one of the things on that master plan also, is that that building be renovated. And yeah, they did have 6 meetings, but those 6 meetings, they basically had them with organizations and so forth. They didn't really reach out to the community. The only way they reached out to the community was by radio and newspaper.
Yeah.
But
The other thing I would say is that if you give the public a choice, do you want to see this city hall renovated for $10, $15 million, or do you want to see a multi-sport complex at Rodriguez Field? What are they going to choose? They're going to choose the multi-sport complex, the soccer, the baseball fields, all that stuff. I mean, that building, if you look at it, that is in the master plan. It's nice to want to do it, but does it make any fiscal sense for us to dump that much money into a building when we could do so much more with that money? So Mr. Montoya raises a good point. We could do, look at these again and reprioritize them, and we could have a special meeting and move forward with them. And we could have the directors there and everything.
Would we want to try to do that before the New Year's and do it that week?
Mr. Mayor, did you have any comment?
No, I would just say the sooner the better.
Yeah.
That's basically where we're at.
I don't mind meeting the week after Christmas.
That is the week, I think. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. We could have another meeting on the New Year's Eve. How about New Year's Eve? Somewhere around there, but yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I'll accommodate the time with the council. So if we need to do it during the day or whatever, we could do whatever we want. We can do it however we want.
It'll probably give us more time if we did it during the day, if that's
Sure.
possible.
That's fine. Just pick a date and let us know.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you for all your work, Bill. Not a problem. Next order of business.
Mr. Mayor, executive session?
Council? No? Move for adjournment? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor,
Is there a need for executive?
Is there a need for executive? Do you have a need, Mr. Romero?
Yeah, let me make a motion to enter executive session
Okay.
for personnel matters as permitted by Section 10-15-1H2 of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978.
There's a motion on the floor, second.
A second.
Second by Dr. Rodriguez. Roll call, please.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, second by Counselor Rodriguez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
motion to return to regular session after being in executive session. And like to note for the record that only those matters specified in the motion for closure were discussed. No action was taken.
There's a motion on the floor to enter executive session.
Second, Mayor.
Second by Mr. Olivari. Roll call, please.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Romero, a second by Counselor Olivari Jr. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by Mr. Montoya. Second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Rodriguez. Roll call, please.
Counselor Romero?
Yes.
Counselor Olivari Jr.?
Yes.
Counselor Montoya?
Yes.
Counselor Rodriguez?
Yes.
I have a motion by Counselor Montoya, second by Counselor Rodriguez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Motion carries.
Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy Hanukkah. Everything.
Thank you, Cassandra.
Try and enjoy. I like the Santa Claus on the top floor of your house.